Hey everyone, I'm Jay. Thanks for tuning in to Studio Steep. One day, my dream is to open my own tea house so I can serve the dopest drinks from around the world to all of my friends. Till then, I got this channel, Studio Steep, and we're gonna be covering all of those same drinks that one day I might serve in the tea house. We'll be visiting those places that make those drinks and maybe even talking to the people who make the tea, who make the booze, who make the brews. Let's get started. When you think of tea in Japan, you're usually probably like, oh, green tea. But in this area of Japan, they didn't drink much green tea. Instead, they'd come home every day and put on a pot of a specialty that you can really only find in this prefecture called Awa Bancha. So guys, let's get our first brew review started with this new Awa Bancha. So this brew is funky, it's sour, it's a fermented tea with roots right here in Tokushima prefecture of Japan's smallest main island. They ferment this late season tea for a few weeks, and that's why when you take a sip, you might taste a little bit of sourness, a little bit of funkiness. You know, if you had kimchi, sauerkraut, or even yogurt, when it first hits your tongue, you're like, what is that weirdness? And that magic is from that fermentation process. It's also pretty sweet, which means if you're into lighter scotches or puer tea or Spanish natural cider, you're gonna dig this a lot. First time you're like, what the hell is this dirty leaf juice? And then over time you're like, yeah, give it to me. Speaking of which, let me top up here. One of the reasons why it is a really unique tea is it doesn't have that bitterness of black teas like English breakfast and Earl Grey, and it doesn't have the astringency or the grassiness of other green teas that you might find across the world. Let's take a close-up view of these leaves and see how they compare. Over here on the left, we got the Awa Bancha, the brew that we're drinking today. And then on the right hand side, we got pretty classic Japanese everyday green tea drinker. Classic Japanese green teas like the one on the right, they're steamed, they're rolled, and they're cut, which makes them very compressed when you buy them in the store. Meanwhile, on the left hand where we got the Awa Bancha, those guys, they're plucked in the late summer, they're fermented, and they go through a few other processes, but they're sun-dried without the whole rolling and cutting process. So check out that close-up of Awa Bancha. It's like straight up, like if you took a leaf off of some random ass tree and you dried it and you made some juice out of it. It's really cool to see tea that preserves the whole leaf intact versus cutting it up into tiny bits and pieces like most teas. You know, your soggy ass sack of Lipton, that stuff's all cut up. There's kind of a hominess. So guys, let me take you through the brewing process for this Awa Bancha. With Awa Bancha, you want to grab a big handful for even just a few cups of tea because the taste is really light in flavor. You want to heat it up to boiling, 100 degrees Celsius, so right about the time when you get the medium-sized bubbles that start rapidly moving to the surface, and steep it for a little over a minute, tasting as you go to see what you like, as always, with all the drinks. Since this is a light flavored tea, this is my preference, but get some more leaves and steep it for longer than they recommend. Make it really steep and let it rip you a new one because it's so good. Make sure to have a cup and then pour the rest in the canteen. Let's go find a decent spot to enjoy the view and drink the brew.
Everybody, thanks for checking out the first proper reel for Studio Steep. Lots of good brews, lots of good stuff to come. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you on the next one.